Today we're going to be talking about how to be happy. And I'm going to talk to you about 7 different ways you can bring more happiness into your own life every single day. Coming up next. Hi everybody, my name is Dee Burks and this is Retirement Rescue, where we talk about how to make money, save money, and live well in retirement. Well, today we're going to be talking about how to bring more happiness into your own life. And I'm going to talk about 7 different ways or 7 different areas that you can change or tweak to be more happy every single day. So let's get into it. Number 1 is appreciate the differences and understand that people don't comply with your set of rules. Now, what I mean by this is almost all of us have a certain way that we conduct ourselves, a certain way we live, how we do things. And it's really easy for us to assume everyone else follows the same rules we do. Everyone else does the same things the same way. Clearly, they don't. And nothing is more irritating than having made up rules in your head and then having people in your life who don't follow the rules. So when I talk about this, I'm really talking about learning to communicate. Number 1, stop having those rules for everybody. Stop thinking that just because you put up your bowl and your plate in the kitchen, everyone's going to. Just because you put your things in the dishwasher doesn't mean they're magically going to. It is not a situation where, although people take it this way, but it's not a situation where because they don't magically know your rules, they're somehow disrespecting you. That's not true. You have to communicate with people, and that's a good thing. You should communicate with them anyway. But it will make your life much happier if you communicate exactly what you want, exactly what you need in an effective way, and you stop making so many rules. And really this brings up number 2. A lot of the ideas and expectations we have of our own selves and of everyone else in our life are completely unrealistic. We hold ourselves and those in our life to horribly high standards that nobody could meet 100% of the time. It is your responsibility to understand you're in control of that. Having expectations of someone else and not communicating those expectations is a recipe for disaster. But let's talk about the expectations themselves. One great way to bring more happiness into your life is to ask yourself some questions. Why do you have these expectations that all these things will magically happen? Why is it so important to you that everyone meet these ridiculously high expectations? What is that about? Would it not be better for everyone to be happy? Would it not be better for you to be able to do things without a screaming, yelling match in your house? Of course it would. Of course it would. But a lot of times we get into these habits of this is just what we do. We yell at the kids to get their clothes on and get their shoes on. And why don't people put their shoes back where they can find them? And where's my car keys? And who moved my keys? And we're in such a habit of living like that, we don't realize we could take 20 minutes the night before, set everything up, and eliminate that completely. One little tweak to your routine can really help those expectations. It could get things into a reasonable mode. And this is especially true of parents. If you have an expectation that you put on your child that they have to do things perfectly at school, they can't make an 89 or a 95. They've got to make 100. Understand that's making your child miserable. Children and adults too, we learn by doing something wrong and then figuring out how to do it right. But if we're never allowed to do anything wrong, then we stop taking the risk. We stop trying things. That's true of us too. That's true of you. If you hold yourself to such high standards, instead of maybe going and learning to oil paint, You'll not even try it because you don't want to, feel stupid. You don't want to make mistakes. You don't want people to know you can't really do it perfectly, as if there is such a thing, because there's not really. But we have those expectations of ourselves, and it just serves to bring a lot of unhappiness into our life. Number 3, it is really important to let go of the past. And you've heard this 1,000 times. But let's talk about the past for a minute. One of the leading causes of unhappiness is depression. People get depressed. And they think, well, I'm depressed because I'm unhappy. Actually, no, you're unhappy because you're depressed. It's kind of a circle, but you get what I'm saying. Depression is when you are completely focused on the past. You are focused on what did or didn't happen, how things should have gone, who should have been nicer to you, how you should have been treated better, how things are so unfair. And guess what? You can't change anything about the past. That's what makes it depressing. You cannot change it. You can't go get a redo on that. All you can do is focus on today. So when you find yourself sitting, and we all do, we'll sit and think in the evenings or when we have a minute to ourselves, and you're stressing over something in the past, even if it's only 5 minutes in the past, that you can do nothing about, you have got to train yourself to let it go and focus on something you can do right now, even if it's just going and doing the dishes. Focus on a task you can do right now in the present to get your mind out of that depression loop. And it will help you tremendously. Number 4, embrace the future without fear. And let me explain what I mean by that. We all have things that we're planning to do or things that are upcoming that we need to do, whether it's family stuff, work stuff, whatever. And on the opposite end of depression that we just talked about is anxiety. Well, anxiety circles around fear of the future. What's going to happen? What if this? What if that? What if I don't know how to do this? What if I can't do this? How am I going to explain this? It gets into the same sort of loop, but that loop is focused around things you should do, need to do, or plan to do in the future. And you can't change the future by worrying about it, just like you can't change the past. All you can do is focus on today. The best thing to help anxiety is to get out of your own head, to do something physical, to go and volunteer, go and be with a friend and not talk about worry all the time. Go outside and go for a walk. Here again, putter around in your garden or something like that. Do something in the present that allows you to get out of that anxiety loop and get out of your own head. Number 5. One of the best ways to bring more happiness into your own life is to believe you are a completely unique individual, and what happens to anyone else doesn't apply to you. That is one of the best ways to get out of constant comparison. As human beings, we constantly compare ourselves to our siblings, our peers, our children, our parents, are we where we supposed to be? There's 1,001 articles about what age are you? Do you have as much as you should in your 401k? Compare yourself to everybody else. It's all about comparison. Social media makes this so much worse because all you see on social media is the best of everyone else's life, assuming they're being just the least bit authentic, which they're usually not. It's usually fake anyway. And it's really hard sometimes to feel like you're measuring up. But when you believe and you teach yourself to really think about your life as unique and not comparable to anyone else, it relieves some of that pressure. Because really comparison is all about making us feel like we're not good enough. That's what it does. We feel like we're not good enough. That would make anybody unhappy. And letting go of that comparison mindset and getting away from some of that social media will do you wonders in the happiness category. Number 6, understand that happiness happens every day. This whole idea of, I'm going to get that job, or I'm going to get this degree, or I'm going to marry that person, or I'm going to have children, and then I'll be happy. No, that's not how it works. Happiness isn't a destination. It's not like you hop on the boat and you cruise over to happiness land, and when you get off, woo, you're happy. Doesn't work that way. Happiness is something you feel every day. That's why it's so important to focus on what you're doing and thinking about every day. Those are the days that reveal true happiness. That day you're out in nature, maybe you're fishing. I love to fish. You're out in nature, you're at the lake, and you think, gosh, this is such a beautiful day, and the wind's blowing through your hair. That is true happiness. And it happens when we least expect it. When your kid falls asleep on your shoulder, and it's just the sweetest thing, even though they were screaming 3 minutes ago. But they fall asleep, and it's so sweet, and it's so fabulous, and you know they're going to grow up. That is happiness. That's your daily dose of happiness. And those are the things that you cling to. Those are the things you want to remember as true happiness. And the last way, number 7, to really bring more happiness into your life is to go out and make stronger connections with people. And I say this a lot. And I will always get the question, well, how am I supposed to do that? Am I supposed to go hang out at a bar or something? No. Go and do things you love to do. Things that are part of what makes you happy. If you love animals, go volunteer at a rescue shelter. If you love talking to people and talking about your area, go volunteer at a visitor center for your local town or your local county. If you like being out in nature, go volunteer at a state park. That is where you will meet people who have the same interests that you do. That's what making a strong, happy connection is all about. Is having people around you that get you and you get them. And that's only going to happen if you meet those people doing things you truly love to do. Go out and create those strong connections. And all of these 7 steps will bring more and more happiness into your life. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.